Man. Hello! I'm going to read a thing. Hooray! This is under this debate that was posted by Justice Birder Apologist Supreme. I've been commenting on their various debate videos saying, hey, I'll debate you guys. Hey, what about me? I'll debate. Nothing? Alright. Just ignore me. Alright, and I'll be here in the comments asking to whatever. Anyway, so a God for the Atheist, which is a name I recognize, but might be a different name than the one I recognize because it looks like it's a different account. Because the one that I thought it was has video content, but this one has no videos. So it's somebody else calling themselves a God for the Atheist. Or maybe they took down their videos. I don't know. Anyways, they have this wonderful comment. I'm going to read it and then respond to it. Now, I already responded in text to some of it, so I'll probably be reading my response as well that I wrote, but I'm going to be giving new stuff as well. So this is Agfta's, a God for the Atheist, post. I've never liked debates because it seems to me that debate's purpose is to prove you are right, not discover the truth. This means that is a debater discovering during the debate that he is wrong, his job is to deflect away from and hide the evidence that prove he is wrong in favor of winning the debate, which is the purpose of the debate. Well, Agfta, that's your view, but you're wrong. And the purpose of a debate, well, there could be a number of different purposes depending on how the debate was done, how formal it was, how it's hosted, how it plays out. There's political debates, there's philosophical debates, and there's debates done within the confines of logic. Now, I have my issue with people debate and they don't subscribe to the rules of logic and that their debates are less formalized than I would like, but that only matters to me because I care about logic. But the purpose of this particular debate is to see, ideally, whose conclusion we should think is worth our time. In fact, the name of the debate here is Christianity versus Atheism. Where does the evidence point? Well, there's some problems with the question formatting that I would have had changed pre-debate, but nonetheless, the idea is there is some evidence for Christianity, there's some evidence for atheism, and where does, which one has more evidence, or, which one has evidence in the first place, because if you had two different evidences, then they would point either to different directions, thus making one of the evidences unreliable or something. It's a very clunky question, but at any rate, that's what you're supposed to discover during the debate. Now, the person presenting their side of the argument is not necessarily concealing or hiding things that are against their argument, but they're supposed to be giving good reasons to think that their argument is correct. More importantly, if they have a syllogism, they should go over why their premises are valid and sound, and, well, their premises are free from logical fallacies, that the argument is valid and sound, and how their opponent isn't. And then using that, you either look into the conclusion or you're free to go about your business. But it does get you to a thing that you can explore that probably will be true if the argument was valid and sound. So far, if an argument is valid and sound, the conclusion has been true in reality, but it's still worth looking into it just to make sure, because you could have analyzed the argument incorrectly, possibly. I prefer having discussion and presenting all the different points of view and coming to a consensus of what truth is based on the input of all who have taken part in the discussion. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, given how you have no content that I can look at to determine if that statement is true. Are you really going to look at all the different points of view? It's going to be very difficult when you have 14,000 plus gods out there competing with your particular god. You'd have to also consider them. But you're talking about within the discussion. So within the discussion itself, there's not going to be that many different points of view that are laid out. You're going to have a point of view of a Christian who you already are biased toward because you happen to be a Christian. And then you're going to have a point of view of a non-Christian who you're going to be biased against because you're not on their side. Whether that person additionally happens to not believe in any God, let alone not a particular God that you agree with, is like another thing to add to your disagreement of that person. So, what would the consensus tell you? Well, if it's hosted on a channel like this Apologist Supreme, I would suspect that the majority of people that were in that chat room or in the hangout would be theists. Whereas if it was hosted on my channel, I would suspect that the people would be largely atheist or skeptical minded people. So so you're going to get a conclusion weighted one way or the other, depending on who hosts the debate. That's not a very good way to arrive at what the truth is either. Plus, it's a possibility that you're just appealing to the majority, which in some circumstances you can at least give weight to it, like within the scientific community. The overwhelming majority, like almost every single scientist, it's like forget what the percentage was, but it's ginormous, agree with biological evolution, the age of the Earth, and the age of the universe. There's, the point whatever percent that are creationists that don't agree with that, but only do so as a non-scientific endeavor. They can't put those into science because it will be bounced out, and they know that. Just doesn't work. So if you're using this idea of consensus, then you shouldn't have any problem with biological evolution, age of the Earth, age of the universe. I don't know if you don't, but it's just kind of suspect you might have a problem with one of those. I wouldn't be too surprised if you did, because many apologists tend to have a problem with one of those three, if not all three. Not always, but many times I've seen that play out. But at any rate, it's not a very good system to use to just be like, hey, what's everyone agree with? And that will be the truth. That's, okay, so all right. I've encountered too many atheists who rather present their own evidence to suggest my idea might be inaccurate, simply have the attitude of, I don't believe it, so you're wrong. Well, how many have you encountered? And have you actually been keeping track? Now, here's another interesting thing. I've seen when people say things like this, whether they're theist or they're atheist or other, that they'll say, well, I've encountered people all the time or a lot of the time that say this to me. Really? How do you know that? Like, did you keep track? No, you probably didn't keep track. So you're basing that statement on memory, and you're remembering certain things and forgetting other things. So you probably forgot the times when that didn't happen. So you don't know unless you've been keeping some sort of record of, January 14th, 2012, I talked to Joe Schmo, the atheist, and they said X, Y, and Z, and then, December of, whatever, you're not keeping track. So you don't know this. You're basing it off of a bias, and your brain remembers certain things. It remembers hits, forgets misses. So you don't really know who's been saying what. So what this is a construct straw man. You're building a straw man in your own mind of who you've interacted with in the past to formulate what you will expect to see in the future. This is essentially what people that are racist do. Well, every, fill in the blank has been, poor and bad that I've seen. Therefore, they're all poor and bad. It's just a bad way of getting to a conclusion. But it's not a matter of whether or not I believe in something. That's irrelevant. Your wrongness is independent of my belief or non-belief of it. You're wrong if you think that your particular God is an actual, demonstrable, provable God, which actually funny enough, you kind of admit to in this post, but well, we'll get to that in a bit. But it's not a matter of whether or not I believe it or not. You could be wrong, regardless. I could think you're right, and you could still be wrong. I could believe, but you could still be wrong. So, how about let's just examine whether or not you are correct and find the system that allows us to do that. Is the system to discover what is true Christianity, or is it something else? Is there a better system out there? Perhaps the scientific method, or the logical method, or a combination thereof? I don't know. Let's figure that out. How is it better than I believe it because the Bible says so? Well, if you are encountering the strawman construct atheist that says, I don't believe it, therefore you're wrong, that isn't any better than saying that, the Bible says that settles it. The two would be equal. So, yeah, nobody would win in that sort of conflict. But I doubt that you've actually encountered that person, and even if you have, well, they're not here. So, it's interesting how your entire comment has nothing to do with the debate in question, but everything to do with, well, grumbles, I suppose. Let's see. Atheists prove that they're just a member of religion, just like theists who believe whatever tribe they are fed by their brand of religion. Oh, interesting. How do we prove that we're a member of religion? So this is essentially the two pew, the you as well. See, you atheists, you're just part of a religion just like we are. So we're both in the same boat. You're a religion, we're a religion, we all have faith, we're all in the same boat. Okay. And what's your argument? I'll just tentatively agree that we're both in a religion and we both have faith. Okay, now what? Well, but you're not admitting to it. I tentatively agreed to it for the purpose of the debate. What's your debate? So I've removed this as an objection. Now what? There's no more objection. You see, there's a problem here inherent in submitting this as an objection. But you'd also have to describe religion, what you think religion is, and how atheism acts like a religion. What things does atheism do that religion also does? You'd have to describe that, and that in and of itself could be a debate. Is atheism a religion? My answer would be no. What would your answer be? But if we had it on this channel, of course, the people would agree with me, so you'd have to agree with them, and then you'd be a skeptic. So you probably wouldn't want to have that debate here. So wait, what? Whether you quote the Pope or Pastor Richard Dawkins is not a pastor. My goodness, this is such an old, played out thing. I mean, come on, dude. Really? I mean, come on. Look, Dawkins is a scientist that happens to have gotten attention because he mentioned he was an atheist and he, came out against God, around the time that the other horsemen of apocalypse also did that. And they all did that as a response to the tragedy of 9/11 and seeing that, religion could cause real harm in the modern day. So it was time to stop being quiet about the problems of religion. They were nailing the door of religion with their list of complaints, like Luther did back in the Catholic day, where he nailed the complaints of the Catholic Church to their door. So these atheists, the so-called new atheists, I nothing new about them, but whatever, had said, here's a problem with religion, blah blah blah. Here's a problem with belief, and laid that out. But none of them are the leader of atheism. None of them ever said that. Nobody treats them that way. So this is just silly, ridiculous, and you're going to be made fun of saying it. So that's a trope that if you want to have a conversation with skeptics or atheists, should discard, because we're just going to mock you for doing that. Oh, come on. We're gonna roll our eyes at you. Say, oh, Richard Dawkins isn't a pastor. We don't care what he says. He's been wrong about things. He hasn't, done this or that or whatever. And I've listened to him speak and debate a few times. I like when he does science more than when he talks about atheism per se. But whatever. Who cares? It's silly. In order to support your own religion, be it Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Satanism, or atheism, you are merely believing based on faith because there can be no physical evidence that anyone can prove some magic deity exists or that God does not exist. Well, that's true. Well, unless your God is a physical God, then there would be physical evidence to show that God existed. But yeah, there isn't any physical evidence of any God out there. That should be a problem to you, but it's not. So there must be some other evidence. Again, the debate that you're responding to is asking for where the evidence leads. Well, then there isn't evidence, at least physical evidence, for this God, for this particular God. So what other evidence is there then if there isn't physical evidence? Which actually negates the entire Bible because the Bible's physical, isn't it? And it's written down on physical paper. That would count as physical evidence. So if there is no physical evidence of God, then the Bible's not evidence of God either. Oops, that's a problem you didn't think of or consider at all. See, there would be some physical evidence that points to God at the very least, if not of God in and of itself, but regardless, yeah. So uh, if there isn't evidence for something, you should doubt that something is. Yes, there's not going to be evidence against that there's something that's a universal claim, but understanding that requires you to understand some deeper logic and philosophy than I think that you might. But nonetheless, um, to to say that there isn't evidence against it is true of many things. There isn't evidence against leprechauns. So what? That's not how it works. The burden is on the one that makes the positive claim. So, yes, you could try to be clever and present a negative claim. There is no not God. It's like, okay, well, try to make a syllogism that works based on that idea. Good luck. It's not going to work, by the way. But no, you can't show that it isn't, and that's so what? That's Russell's teapot. The point is to show what is. So how do you know that there is something that is not physical at all in the first place without merely appealing to a definition and saying, well, but it's defined as not being physical. That's why there's no physical evidence for it, you dummies. Come on. It's defined that there's no that you can't I mean that's how it's defined. Like, yeah, we know how it's defined. That's why we don't believe it, is because the definition makes it impossible to verify that it is in the first place. Okay. Uh, in fact, even the Bible describes God as a spirit. I don't care what the Bible describes God as. I mean, because the Bible's not physical evidence for God. So remember from before. But no, even if it does, so what? Other religious textbooks describe God in other ways. Why is yours right? Just who cares? But anyways, describes God as a spirit. Well, yeah, but so if we're debating that, then that would be a valid point. The debate in question that you're posting this about, did they bring that up in the debate? No, of course you're on your own tangent. We know that. Okay, but anyways, so that proved the fact that the Bible talks about a spirit God proves that atheists are insincere because they want theists to prove a spaghetti monster type of God. I don't care what kind of God you prove. I'd like you to prove any type of God at all, period. But I don't know how in the world you're going to go about proving that a spiritual anything exists, let alone a God, because you already admitted there's no physical evidence for spiritual, whatever that is. So then the question would be, how would you go about proving spiritual? What evidence would you have to point at, since you don't have physical evidence, to suggest that the spiritual is even a thing other than an invention of the mind, other than something somebody made up and just said it's real? Like magic. Like there's magic. It's not physical. You can't prove magic using physical proof. You can't test magic because the source of the magic is magical. The person that's doing the magic is drawing upon the magical world that cannot be examined by scientific methodology. Anything that attempts to do so will fail. So you can't test it either. So, okay, well, then how do we know it's magical? We can't test it and we can't verify it any other way. Well, there you go. The fact that you can't verify it means that it must be magical. It's not a very good argument, but that's essentially the argument that, you know, is done for spiritual. Now, there isn't very good argument. Well, there isn't any argument that I'm aware of for spiritual that is even close to being good. But how would you hope to prove it or to show it or to know it at all? I don't know. Okay, so oops, look at chat. Chat is full of people. I will get to you in a bit. Okay. All right. Webster's definition of spirit. Eh, I mean, okay, it's good to go to somewhere to get a definition of spirit, but if you're utilizing what the Bible says as some sort of authority, which you already are, why not define spirit as however the Bible defines spirit? That's I mean, be consistent there. But at any rate, so Webster defines spirit as the non-physical part of a person, which is the seat of emotions and character, the soul. Okay. Uh, well, we know emotions come from the brain, so, and we don't know of anything non-physical, so the brain is the source of emotions and character, and we don't need a non-physical thing to describe emotions or character anymore. So therefore, we don't have any reason to add a soul to that. You could, of course, and I suppose if you're going to talk about spirit, then you're going to have to go with this definition, which you can't hope to show to be true because we already have a naturalistic explanation for the emotions and character of a person. They both come from the brain. You'd have to show that there's some non-physical thing in the brain somehow. How would you hope to do that? Number two, the qualities regarded as forming the definitive or typical elements of the character. First, same definition. Or the group in the thought attitudes particular period. In this, okay, so yeah, all right. So you didn't really quote Webster's very well. Your formatting here on your post is kind of poor, but whatever. But how does that help your point? So your point is that God is being described as, according to you, if we substitute God with your definition, God's a spirit. So God is the part of a person which is the seat of emotions and character. So God is you. All right, I agree. God is you and me as well, which means gods only exist in the brain of humans, which means they don't exist in reality like everything else. So, whoops, I don't think you thought that through. Oh well. Uh, in the case of God, the qualities or spirits, the character is truth and right. Based on what definition, though? You didn't give us a definition that included those. Not even from the Bible. Come on, man. You're not making a good argument here. Oh, well. Nothing at all like the straw man spaghetti monster that insecure and insincere atheists present to back up their own definition of God because they cannot disprove the true concept of God in the true context because of the atheist and sincere doctrine. Boy, you're just irritated at the flying spaghetti monster. The problem is you have the wrong version of the flying spaghetti monster. I think that's the real problem. The real flying spaghetti monster is documented in the Lobsterist. And if you haven't read that yet, then you don't know what the true spaghetti monster is. So you're attacking the false spaghetti monster. That's your problem, not ours. I mean, you didn't bother to read the Lobsterist book. What do you mean you've never heard of the Lobsterist book? Most of my people in the chat right now have heard of the Lobsterist book. As I go over there, nobody's heard of the Lobsterist book, or they have and they didn't read it, even though I told them to read it like a million times and have mentioned it before numerous times on my channel. Right when you read my thing. So yeah, if you haven't read the Lobsterist, how can you know what you're talking about? A God for the Atheist. Anyways, what were we? Oh, anyways, but yeah, the real spaghetti monster is actually a spiritual one. It's not a physical one, but it's a spiritual one that would have physical evidence for it, which is still possible, by the way. You just haven't thought that deeply into that possibility, have you? It would be possible to have physical evidence pointing to a non-physical thing. That's essentially what apologetics tries to argue for. But I guess they're just wasting their time. You got the way to do it. Okay, then do it. Forget about if somebody is doing a straw man or whatever. Stop complaining about that, even if it is true. Just make your argument, which you haven't done yet and you're not going to do. But I'm just saying, if you're going to complain, just put your argument forth. Just put your evidence forth. Just put whatever you got on the table. All right. So, simply put, God is whatever the absolute truth is, opposed to whatever anyone might perceive as the truth with a capital T. I always really bothers me when people capitalize truth. And what is that? What is that supposed to do for you? I mean, what good does that do? This is essentially, I think that I have the truth, and the truth that I have is about in regards to this God, and this God is super duper true with a capital. All the letters are capital because it's like the real truth. And so even if you find what you think is the truth, you didn't find the real truth because you didn't believe what I believe, and it's just a way to falsely elevate what you think is true above other truth, which is to say, you think you have the truth, but in fact, you don't have the truth. You think you have what's real, but the fact of the matter is you don't. So you need to inflate what you think that you have by using capital letters. By saying it, I have embodied truth with a capital T. Like if you capitalize nature, you've made it a persona. I have the real thing, and you just have the pretend thing. Okay, that's kind of weird. Like if you have the real thing, you don't need to capitalize. You don't need to. You don't need to make it more real by emphasizing how real it really is. The amazing thing about science that I've discovered is that you can find out what's really real, and you don't have to capitalize real at any point. You just discover what's true in the world, and you're like, wow, that's amazing that's how that works. That's so cool to find out. That's really bizarre and strange and wondrous and mysterious. And I don't have to like read some old book. Well, not that it being old matters too much, but just some book that somebody wrote based on assertions that they can't hope to prove. You know, I'd rather read something that actually has data and facts and evidence to back it up. But that's just me. You're welcome to believe in whatever you want to believe in. But yeah, so basically you're saying, you've got the real truth, and so it wouldn't matter what anyone told you. If it wasn't already agreeing with what you think is true, you're going to dismiss it. That's what this reads to me. It's a submission to everybody that you have decided what to believe, and you're not going to change your mind. That's essentially what capitalizing the word truth does, from my perspective. It means you don't want to give this up. You don't want to offer any other alternative because you've already got it. Why bother? Why would you ever have the conversation? You already know what's true. Therefore, when I get to this verse in the book of Matthew that I don't care about, and what verse? You didn't mention what. You don't tell us what verse. What verse in Matthew? Oh, so this guy's a bad theist on top of everything else because a good theist would at least put the verse. But oh well. And as this is what it says. It says, therefore, when I got to this verse in the book of Matthew, period, and I can contemplate the meaning of the Old Testament first commandment, I did not think these commandments come from some kind of narcissist. What verse are you talking about? It doesn't tell. Okay, whatever. Sorry. And as I I can't say the word anymore. Anyways, as he thought about the Old Testament first commandment, have no other gods before me, that's what the first commandment is. I did not think these commandments come from some kind of narcissistic, egotistical, arrogant God entity. Well, that's your problem. I mean, it's clear to me that that's where these ideas would come from if your God was real, but your God isn't real, so the idea just is coming from some human who's pretending that there's a God and or believes there's a God and saying that this God is more important than all the other gods that are out there, and then later on that just shifts to this is the only God that's out there, by the way. Uh, so I can't comment on where in Matthew you're talking about because you didn't tell us. But yeah, but you're getting your God wrong. You see, the real God is narcissistic, egotistical. So you're worshiping the false God of the Bible, the real God of the Bible. You see how that works? Remember from earlier when I said that? Yeah, whatever. Okay. I recognize that God meant whatever was the ultimate true consequence of one's actions. What? Okay, wait. I gotta see this again because I mean that doesn't. Okay, so you, the person writing this, have recognized that God equals the ultimate true consequences of one's actions. So you don't need an actual God anymore. All you need to do is say whatever the ultimate consequence of that person's action is you know, that's it. You end the sentence there. You don't need to say that equals God because you don't need to add on God to make that any more clear or coherent. I mean, if you're just saying, oh, it's an easier way to condense down your ultimate consequences of your actions equal God. But I mean, there'd be better ways I mean, we could try with the letters. Let's see. Ultimate true consequences of one's actions would be UTCOOA. Yeah, it doesn't really roll off the tongue. So we'll workshop that, but we could invent a word, for that concept. But why would that word be God? I don't know. Whatever. That God is evidenced by what we know as the laws of physics. What? Wait, hold on. So how does my ultimate true action consequences also tie into physics? Like, wait, are you making a is this part of the same argument or is this a different argument now? I don't think that you thought this through very well. Okay, the laws of physics. What about them? They're physical, which you said God isn't physical. So how would something physical point to something non-physical? I don't know. But atheists are either too ignorant to understand the concept. Man, you're just angry. Atheist. I don't know. Or maybe it might be that your concept is so incoherent that nobody can understand it, not even you, or too insincere to admit it. Okay, man, just poison that well. Uh, and too insincere to face the fact that there's a God by definition. Wow, just define God into existence. There's a God by definition. There is a non-God by definition. Your move. I mean, come on. You gotta do better than this. Oh well. If not by their claim that God must be defined as the spaghetti monster, straw man. Again, you've gotten the spaghetti. The spaghetti monster is the real God. It is spiritual. So, but the thing is, this even if spaghetti monster isn't a spiritual thing and is a physical thing, if it's the real God, then it's not a straw man. Your God's the straw man. So you have you're just you're chasing rainbows here. You're not going after a real argument. You're going after an argument that you made in your head. Like who's talking about? Did they do that in this debate? Did they talk about the spaghetti monster? I doubt it. I haven't listened to the debate yet. I've been saving it because I've got like a lot of debates from this channel to go through. I'm like, I don't know where to start, but maybe I'll start at this one to see if anything they said had anything to remotely do with anything you said, but I already doubt that it's the case. But at any rate, why not just put forth whatever your argument is rather than attacking what some other argument might have been? Who cares? Okay, somebody did a strawman against you at some point. That debate's over. Present your side. You don't, oh, but they keep making this straw man. Even if that's the case, you still need to prove your side, which you haven't done. They created because okay, so the spaghetti monster strawman they created because they don't have the intellectual, they don't have the intelligence necessary to understand the concept of God that you apparently do. We'll go back to see how intelligent you are in a moment, but okay, this is more special pleading, special knowledge, and or not special pleading. Sorry, special knowledge claim. You know that you're smarter than all atheists, I guess, and also poisoning the well. But all right, whatever. Um, but yeah, we're not smart enough to understand your concept of God, which you've laid out here in this text post that, thanks to me, is now getting attention, whereas before it might have gone unnoticed. What have I done? Oh, oh no, what have I done? Oh well, too late now. They don't have they don't have honest to discuss. Oh, wait. They don't have the intelligence necessary to understand the concept of God, or they do not have the honest to discuss the concept in good faith. They they do not have the honest they do not have the honest to discuss the concept in good faith. I'm just going to go ahead and put that in chat there. You know, I'm very bad at grammar and spelling and pronouncing things. So I'm going to have to ask my audience if this sentence makes sense. Like, forget about whether you believe in God or not. Or have faith or anything. Just tell me, does this sentence is this grammatically good? Because I read it and it don't sound grammatically good. Snuffy says, I have the honest. I have the best honest. Yeah, I mean, I also have honest. Who else doesn't own honest? Does anyone not own an honest? I thought everyone owned some honest. I'm sure Brian has some honest. Wildheart certainly. I think he named her cat honest, so she definitely has an honest, right? Like, yeah, there's a missing Y somewhere in there. Wildheart thinks. Yeah, there might be a typo, but there can't be because he's so intelligent compared to us. There can't possibly be a typo if everyone else is wrong. Okay, back to what I was reading. Oh, there's a typo in the start of this, by the way, that I forgot to complain about, but this one was more funny. So wherever that was now, I don't care. I'm moving on. Another reason to hide for the concept of faith and the reality that faith is good and virtuous quality. Oh man. Okay, so wait a minute. Earlier you said that atheists have faith, and that if it's good and virtuous, then it's okay to have faith. I don't think having faith is good or virtuous. Not sure what your argument there is, but essentially you're saying that you do have faith, which means you don't have evidence, because if you had evidence, you wouldn't need faith. So even if it is a good and virtuous quality to possess, having faith would still mean you don't have evidence. I'd rather have evidence. even if it means I'm lacking that good quality. Because having evidence means that I am closer to hoping to know what is real or not real, or true or not true. Whereas if I have faith, I might be right on accident, but there's no way I could verify it, because verifying it would mean I'd have evidence and then I wouldn't have faith anymore. So I'm not sure how that could be good or virtuous to have as a quality. Oh well. Their quote religion of atheism. How is again with the religion? Surely you can do better than that. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call him Shirley. Certainly you could do better than that. Now I've renamed him Certainly. Maybe I should name him. What was it that the thing that we were making fun of before that he didn't have the Wyatt thing? Oh, right. The religion of atheism is a sham. They have will never be able to prove. I don't know what does atheism mean to you? What do you think? How does that like? Okay, so this is one of those like you can't prove atheism's true sort of things that we see every now and again. Like you do know what atheism means, right? You're not attacking a straw man of atheism, are you? Like, do you mean the statement "there's no God," or do you mean I don't believe in God? Because the latter, I don't believe in God. There would be a way for me to prove that, but we'd have to use some technology and testing to do so. If you want to fund that, I'm more than happy to go through the testing to prove that I don't believe in God. As far as there not being a God, I think that statement goes alongside of statements like there are no goblins, ogres, or dragons. See, God doesn't exist, and nobody cares that goblins, ogres, and dragons don't exist. They do care if you say that God doesn't exist because they believe in God, but very few, if anyone, believes in goblins, ogres, or dragons. Now, there are people that believe in fairies, but they usually call them the Fae folk, and you'd only find them in Scotland or Ireland. Sure, in Begaia, but they're very few in number. So it's not really worth I guess you could have a debate with that person. I'd love to find that person. I would love to debate them. But they're not such a big group of people to make me worried about, how they're going to influence politics by their votes, you know. But people that believe in God, there's a lot of them, and so they might use what they think is true, and that might influence how they would otherwise vote. So you might be a very smart person, but you might vote in a way that's harmful to the world because you think that that's what God wants you to do, rather than voting for the way that you would want to vote, whatever that might be. That's the problem with gods, is that you have to decide what the god is thinking, and you have to make up what that god is thinking, and then you have to act on what that is, rather than just evaluating what you think is right or wrong and not adding another step of complexity on top of that. But whatever, anyways. So as far as proving that there isn't a god, well, until I have any sort of reason to think that there is a god, I don't think I need to prove that. Uh, but if I did, I could make an argument, which wouldn't be a proof, it would be an argumentation. There is a difference. But again, you'd have to understand logic to understand what the difference is. And I don't think that you have that deep understanding of logic, which, to be fair, a lot of my viewers don't have that deep of an understanding of logic. So that might be a whole separate video that I would have to, pre-record and work out a script for, because it's an important topic. Anyways, back to this thing that I was reading, because I'm almost done here. But instead of being sincere agnostics who admit they can never know if God exists, well, see, agnostic is, it's a whole different thing, but it's not exactly what you said that it is. They choose to be liars, claim as a fact that there is no God. Okay, there is no God, and I mean, that's not me lying. That's just me coming to a conclusion based on the overwhelming lack of any evidence for anything that I would even call God in the first place, let alone the problem of how you would identify God or what makes a God, or any of the other deep questions that religion can't hope to answer, and that God, if it's real, doesn't choose to answer for some weird reason, but instead relies upon us puny humans to talk about God endlessly. God could end the debate on whether there's a God easily if it has power to do so, but it doesn't. So obviously, it either doesn't have the power to do so or it doesn't care enough to end the debate on God. So if that's a thing, I don't believe in it because it hasn't said hi to me yet, or the rest of us for that matter. But yeah, this is kind of the meme of, agnostic is better than atheist. Look, I'm a skeptic, so I'm a step higher than both atheist and agnostic. And unless you're a skeptic, I don't know, whatever, blah blah blah, something lobsters. Atheism's just another religion. Is your final statement there now? I said, look, in regards to the, what debate is for, I made my post about that. I said I might read it. I'm not going to read it. You guys, gals, robots, etc., can read what I said if you want to, and respond to this God for the atheist person if you want to or not, whatever you want to do with that. But now here ends the me talking about this post and deconstructing it part of the video. So at this time, if that's all you cared about, you can now end the video. You won't miss anything because now I'm going to talk to chat, and that only matters for people that are currently live in chat and probably won't matter as much to people that aren't live in chat later on. I guess that's how these things work. So now I'm going to go do that. End the video now. Lobsters exist. Finn. Okay, now comes the part where I talk about chat. Let's go to there. Okay, oh my, so many things to respond to. Snappy is here, Wildheart's here, Brian Stevens is here. Let's see. Who knows? Let's see. You have to search with your feelings, not your eyes or instruments, Snuffy says. Ah, that's because it's magic, Wildheart says. So they're all talking about what I was talking about while I was talking about this. Let's see if there's anything that I need to respond to directly. Yeah, Snuffy is magical. It just can't verify that he's magical. So yeah. Let's see. Flawless logic. Yeah, exactly. I define spirit as not being detectable. Therefore, it exists, but we can't detect it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can define. I define me having $1 million by the fact that I can't detect that I have $1 million. So therefore, if I go to the bank, they should give me $1 million, right? Because that's how that works. Brian Stevens defines spirit as being abstract value placed on living being's mind. I like that. That's a different definition. I would agree with that. It's more coherent than the other one, but I mean, I don't think that we need that word per se, because I mean we already have words that describe it, but I don't see a problem with having having that word used since it already exists. But yeah, word can word. Gary, message retracted. Ooh, he said something naughty. Let's see. Alcoholic spirits are real too. Well, no, that's a different. Yeah, spirits in that sense. At least we could talk about. Why did they call alcohol spirits? I don't. I'd have to look that up now. Let's see. What is WTF is this word salad becoming? Good question, Snuffy. I don't know. I don't think I came to a conclusion, but yeah. Now God is physics. Yeah, why not? Yeah. We didn't get a full argument there. That was really weird. Like God, physics, what? Huh? Wait. I thought it was like the actions that I did. The ultimate consequence of actions I do means God, physics. Wait, what? Wait, what? How does that? Like, there's I don't know what's yeah. Then we got to have the honest. I have the best honest. Yes, I love that. Spell checking is religion. That's great from the flame, who is a theist. Love, by the way. God, physics have died for your sins. Yeah, I don't think that this guy is even talking about the same God that Grave believes in. Like Grave believes in the Christian God, but this guy, he's believing in some God that is not even that God at this point. And I don't know. Maybe they can have a talk sometime, but I mean, maybe this guy's too far gone. Who knows? If you're gonna believe in God, I would at least want the God to have some sort of coherency, at least internally. It's not like the Bible says that God is physics, at least not that I know of. Maybe that was the verse in Matthew that he didn't give us. So Brian's favorite non-word is snid, meaning to throw or send in a forceful manner. I send that fervor bitch right into orbit. Okay. I don't know that you have the power to send anybody into orbit there, but good on you if you do. Okay. So, let's see. Let's see. Reading. Still reading. Their main gun has finally arrived, so we now have God in the chat. Finally, we could just ask God why He doesn't reveal itself. Hey, main gun, why don't you just reveal yourself as God to everybody already? What would be the difference between a God that hides and no God? And why would such a God reward faith over rationality? Right? Yeah. Let's see, Snuffy. The conversation I had with the writer John last time, I talked about the so-called atheist God, which is the God that is going to reward all the people that don't believe in God. That's the actual God that really exists for real. But of course, by not believing in God, we're good to go. We're fine. So stop believing in God, and then you'll get the reward. Of course, there's some problems in that logic as well, but whatever. Nobody driving the bus. There isn't even a bus to be driven in this case. Read and liked your comment. Thanks, Wildheart. I've talked to atheists that are more anti-theist, but this is no way the majority, but minority I've talked with. Yeah, I mean, I don't even really know what anti-theist is per se. I don't know. I mean, that's a whole nother talk, anyways. Yeah, a person can. This is a good statement. Brian says that a person can have a bad idea and still be a good person. I agree. Wildheart does as well. Oops, liking or allowing that comment made to think. My S key is not keen again. I see. What? Huh? What? What do you mean by good? Okay, I've caught up to chat. So hi everybody in chat. I've finally caught up to you. If you have any questions for me that you want me to answer live now because I'm here, type them up and I'll read them and then I'll answer them to the best of my ability to do so. So this is a Ask Deconverted Man Anything, I guess. Why not? Well, I've never done one of those. Never going to either. I'm losing so many subscribers. So I thought about doing a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe campaign, which is like keep Deconverted Man making videos, and the goal would be like $500. And then I thought of doing another one, make Deconverted Man retire, where the goal is like $80,000. So 80K, that's pretty good. But yeah, if I got like 80K, I'm pretty sure I'd retire, from doing videos and see how many people really hate me. Like, yeah, that will prove a point. I don't know what that would. Then I'd have to make a new channel. See, because I'd retired quote Deconverted Man, but I'd make another channel just with a different name. So I'd get the money and basically I just need money. Bad Timber Badger, hey, how's it going? Would anything against God be considered as anti-theist? Yeah, again, this is a different topic, guys. Let's stay on the topic of this video. You're not gonna do it. I haven't watched the Moogie vid that Bad Temper did yet. I'm behind. Sorry. Everyone's talking to everyone else, not me. No questions for me yet. Gonna keep going. Here we go. Have you interacted with Agfta? I don't know. I thought I had. I recognize the name A God for the Atheist. I've seen that name before, but that person, I'm pretty sure they had videos, but this person doesn't have any videos at all. So either they removed all videos that they did have, or this is a new person with a similar name, or my memory is wrong. So I don't know. I thought that I had, but I don't know at this point. But I'd love to talk to them if they want to have a discussion rather than a debate, because they don't like debates, I guess. But whatever. We'll talk about what, why faith is important to them, and I'll just ask them critical questions, and they can ask me critical questions about uh, why I don't believe in what they believe, and it can just be that. It can just be a question and answer, which is the dialogue called information exchange. Doesn't have if you want to do a debate, I'm happy to do a debate, but it would have to be a formal debate. I'd crush you, which is why people. Let's see. Tracers went. Let's see. Hate to be bringing it up, but the New Zealand thing. I thought about doing a video about it. I don't think there's really much I can say that hasn't been said. The guy wanted people to make it political, and people are making it political. So they're giving him exactly what he wanted. Now, did he survive, or did he get killed during the shooting? I'd have to look into the story and find out more about it. But I think that it's a story because, like in America, we're used to this, which is sad. It's like, oh, it's another school shooting, oh, another shooting, yeah, whatever. It's like, yeah, it's another Friday, whatever. We're so jaded to it because it's happened. But here, New Zealand's like, oh my goodness, it's never happened there. So but this is it a sign of the times? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? I don't know. I think that people that want to hurt other people can do so easily, and that the only way to fight that is with love, kindness, understanding, logic, and reason. We can't fight hate with more hate. We can't fight violence with more violence. Um, so hopefully, this will be responded to with uh, care and concern, and not be made into let's debate about guns, or let's do this, or let's do that. It's like, because it's just people are gonna talk about it, and then next week we're all gonna talk about something else, or it's just gonna move on. There's been countless shootings in America. There's been countless deaths of people that shouldn't have happened. Why does that happen at all? Why does anybody end somebody else's life at all? You know, and I'm sure you could think of something that somebody would do that you would want to kill them for. It's like, oh, they tortured an animal, or they did something terrible to a young person or something. It's like, oh, that person deserves to die. I'll kill them myself, or I want to torture them, or whatever. And it's understandable that we would feel that, but we shouldn't enact that. It's very hard to say, well, let's pity the person that committed the act, as and because something went wrong with them as well. Something went wrong in their mind that they got to that point to do that. So that's really hard to have sympathy for the devil, if you would. Um, I don't know that that's the road to fix the madness, but I think that peace will prevail if we use it. So, but other people have said that better than I can, so I don't know. What do you make of the idea that a God is being with the universe, but a God is the fundamental basis of the universe? Yes, it's a reality. I don't know if that question is aimed at me, but I'll answer it anyways. I mean, just like any other idea of God, it's just these are all possible things that could be, but until they're demonstrated to be, that's all they are, is possible ideas. I think that it's interesting that we humans try to find meaning even if there isn't a meaning to be found. And we tend to, broadly speaking, find meaning in a thing that we call God. But what that is changes from, you know, generation to generation, or person to person. Um, I think that it's better, instead of saying I'll pray for you, or I'll think of those ways that I could help you. Maybe there's nothing I could do. Maybe I can send a card that says, I'm sorry this happened, or something, you know, or maybe I can just say into the wind, I'm sorry, or just to let you know that I care about what happened. Maybe that's all I can do instead of praying, you know. Or instead of, thanking God, I'll thank myself for doing the good thing because I did the good thing. Maybe we could thank each other when we do good things because we're the ones that did it. Oh, I recovered from the surgery. Thank God. How about thanking the surgeons? um, let's see. Oh, he got arrested. Okay. Well, okay. So we'll see what happens to them in court. Hopefully, they'll face their day in court. Um, I hope nobody takes them out before they go to court, or even after they. I hope that nobody kills this person because they need to stand trial, and that we need to do justice the right way. We need to stop killing people. We need to talk to people. Um, anyways. Yeah. Not yeah. Now we're asking Grieve questions because I pointed out he was a theist. I threw him into the lion's den. Oh yeah, capitalizing God. Well, yeah, if the word God is capitalized, then it's a name, which is funny because the name of God in Christianity is Yahweh, or was it XY or YHJ, whatever the letters are. I don't remember. But yeah, I'd be more concerned with the. It's like, well, which Jehovah is another name. There's lots of names for God in the Bible. So I'd say, well, pick one. I'll capitalize that one. But as far as God goes, since I don't have to capitalize that one. It's not a proper name. But see, depends on if they're Trinitarian or not. Like, so does that mean I have to capitalize the Holy Ghost, or is it Holy Spirit now? Like which one do you prefer on that? Like, does it matter? I mean, and and really, if God is a person or something other than that, like why would maybe you care, but why would God care? When I don't know. But let's see. But yeah, I mean, it is something. Because if I'm dealing with a religion that likes to capitalize God, I'll capitalize God for their sake, just to clarify, what I'm talking about. Uh, you know, what is the difference between capital God and a non-capital God? Maybe that would be a good question to ask the Christians you're talking to, bad-tempered badger. Grave to Flame is actually, there's a verse, something about that. I don't remember. We had a discussion a long time ago about that sort of stuff. Yeah, maybe I will talk about the shooting thing in a different video, but it won't be this. I mean, I'll do it. If I do it at all, it'd be a recorded video. It wouldn't be a live hangout like this. But I've got to really read up on it. But honestly, I probably won't, just because like I said, I think other people have done it better. I'll link to a video that I think is way better on it. Than I could do, because the person actually lives in New Zealand, and she's somebody I want to give a shout out to anyways. I can't find it. There it is. Emily Huckler. So let me go ahead and link that in the chat, and I'll do that. So if you all want, go check out that video that's in chat, and that's the one that I think talks about this better than I could. So go check that out. I might, like I said, I probably won't, but if I did, it'd be pretty cool. All right, I don't think anyone has any more questions related to this particular topic of Ask Gas post or like whatever. So I guess that's it. We could do if anyone wants to talk to me live and wants to just random talk about stuff. Quick, let me know before I shut down this stream. Otherwise, I'm shutting it down and saying Finn. Okay, time's ticking. Click, 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 click. Clickety click. Clickety click. Don't click back. Clickety. I guess that was. What was the other thing that I was talking about? Where does the evidence lead? Where's the evidence point? Well, how would you have evidence if there wasn't evidence? That's just. I mean, so there wouldn't. Then atheism would win since Christianity has faith. Like the whole post the guy has made is just whatever. Anyone know anything about diesels? Nope, I don't. Do you think there's a point to Twitter discussion? I think it's a good launching point, but I think that it's limited. We found, me and writer John Buck found that, it was a good point to jump to from that to YouTube and had a good talk. The universe decided to end our stream because we were really close to figuring out the universe a couple times. So there's two different streams of us talking to each other, and he got cut out. I got cut. The universe was against us. Actually. Anyways, all right. Later, it's Wild Heart. Later, everybody. So, but yeah. So that would be my answer to that question. I think it's a good launching point, but I think you need a forum. There's still the forum debatingchristianity.com is still around. Bad Tempered. I used to post there a lot back in the day before I did YouTube as Play Havoc. So you'll find some of my debates in text format. So you might be able to drag over whoever you're talking to into that forum and say, okay, well, let's talk about this here, or something. Or maybe you could make a blog and have them comment on it, or you could make a Google Doc and have it be open to comments so that they can comment on the Google Doc and you can respond that way. I mean, there's many, or you could just say like, let's open a chat, or email back and forth. I mean, there's many ways to expand the discussion from Twitter, but I do think it would have to go to a different platform to really be a decent discussion, because it's too limited in scope. All right, that's all I got. Nobody has anything that they want to say. Nobody wants to do a hangout. I understand. I'm gonna say Finn. Watch, like right after I say Finn, like 20 people are gonna be like, "Oh wait, I wanted to talk." No, too late. Yeah, I mean, Bad Temper. We got to do a talk one of these days, but whatever. Have a good one. Yeah, well, this would be a good talk to have, Brian and Flame. You want to come and have a hangout about it? I can host. No? Okay. Type yes or no. Hurry. I'm waiting on them. I'm like, come on, type faster. Screw it. I'm gonna say Finn. But that same Finn. I'm hitting the button. I'm hitting the button. Hit the button.